Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Apadam apahartaram dataram sarvasampadam lokabhiramam shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. Dakshine lakshmano yasya vame cha janakatmaja purato marutir tam vande raghunandanam. Hare Krishna. All right, we're going to continue. We have missed, I think, one session a few weeks ago. So where we are at is Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmana and Sita Devi are now departing for the forest. Where we left off last weekend is the chariot had arrived. They ascended the chariot, and Valmiki says that they loaded all their belongings, and the belongings are described as their bows, quivers of arrows, shields, swords, everything that is required to protect themselves in the forest. And Sumantra, so where we're going to begin today is chapter 40. We actually began chapter 40 last week, but we're continuing on. That Sumantra drives the chariot out of, or is out of Dasharatha's palace and going towards the forest. And all the residents of Ayodhya, they throng around the chariot with very, very loud appeals to Ramachandra to not go. Every citizen, every resident, animals, birds, they all rushed out to somehow dissuade Ramachandra from going away. But Sri Ramachandra, as the Supreme Lord, is Satya Sankalpa and Virat, as Swarat as well. Swarat means independent, and his mind cannot be easily changed once he is fixed on something. So he's reaching out. And what I'd like to parallel, since we are students of Srila Prabhupada, and we have seen certain experiences, or we have seen certain events in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita that are very much parallel to what we are seeing in Ramayana. So the parallel is when Krishna is leaving Vrindavan to go to Mathura. So Akrura, who's driving the chariot, is taking Krishna and Balaram from Gokula or Vrindavan in general to cross the Yamuna river and enter Mathura. Here, Sumantra is driving Sitaram and Lakshmana from the city of Ayodhya to cross into Chitrakoot by crossing the Ganges river, or Sarayu particularly, and then to Ganges. And all the residents of Vrindavan, and the parallel with Chaitanya Charitamrita is the event of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. So these are all similar in the sense that they're all in the feature of the Lord exhibiting renunciation. Ramachandra is renouncing the kingdom. Krishna is renouncing the leisure, luxury, and playful pastimes that he was performing. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is renouncing householder life to take on sannyas for the purpose of propagating Harinam Sankirtan. And so the shaving of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's head by this barber, just to see the beautiful curly locks of hair falling onto the ground, the devotees were crying and falling onto the ground almost unconscious, just imagining that Nimai is taking sannyas, such a young boy, 24 years of age. So the overall theme is that by these acts, the Supreme Lord is enhancing everyone's rasa to a very, very intense stage. So as Ramachandra is being driven out of Ayodhya, all the residents are somehow or the other trying to clasp hold of the chariot and the different parts of the chariot and asking Sumantra, please slow down so we may get a glimpse of Ramachandra. Let our eyes be fully nourished by taking in the forms of these three super great personalities. We will not see them for 14 years again, so slow down. And Ramachandra is telling Sumantra, drive faster, keep going faster. So the general question that one may ask is, why didn't Ramachandra slow it down? And this is the theme that will come up, that every time Ramachandra has a sense that Dasharath Maharaj, Kausalya and the residents of Ayodhya, their despair is growing, he does not like to intensify that despair in one sense. So he wants it to be a swift cut instead of very slowly, almost like teasing and playing with their emotions. He wants it to be done swiftly. So he keeps telling Sumantra, let's go faster. And Sumantra is completely split between the requests of the devotees, or the residents of Ayodhya, and Sri Ramachandra's orders. So there is a beautiful verse. It's 40th chapter, verse number 33. It said that as the chariot was driving away, the dust that was raised from the hooves of the horses and the chariot wheels, that dust was only settled or suppressed by the falling of the tears of the residents of Ayodhya. If you have any visual, and I'll explain more on this, if the visual is, if any of us been in India, they sweep the streets or the front yards. And when you sweep, there's a whole bunch of dust that is raised. So in the morning and evenings, what most householders do is they bring a bucket of water and they sprinkle right outside the house. And by that sprinkling of water, that little particles of dust that were otherwise going to be raised like this settle to the ground. So that's the visual, that the dust that was being raised by the hooves of the horses and the chariot was being settled by the tears that were flowing from the eyes of the residents of Ayodhya. And now the Valmiki Rishi moves the camera back to Ayodhya palace, where Dasharatha and Kausalya, they're looking at Ramachandra, and Dasarath Maharaj runs out of his palace following the path of the chariot. And Kausalya is also following him. All the queens are following them, 347 or 49 of them behind Kausalya, 348, because Kaikeyi is not there. She's not running out. And they're all loudly shouting out, oh Ramachandra, oh Lakshmana, Sita, don't go, slow down, don't go. And they're all hearing this, and every time Ramachandra turns back, he sees from afar the piteous crying face of Dasarath Maharaj, the completely shattered heart and face of Kausalya. So Ramachandra tells Sumantra, drive fast. And from afar, Dasarath Maharaj is saying, Sumantra, slow down. Sumantra, slow down. I need to catch up with Ramachandra. So now, Dasarath Maharaj is still the king. And so his order must be followed. But Ramachandra is ordering Sumantra, keep going. So whose order is he supposed to follow? So Ramachandra tells Sumantra that when you return to the palace after dropping us in the forest, Dasarath Maharaj may chastise you. Why didn't you slow down when I told you to slow down? And you can tell him, I could not hear what you were saying. There was too much noise around. I could not hear you. So the commentators pick up this one because from the beginning to the end of Ramayana, we speak about Ramachandra as a Satyavan, one who never tells a lie. But he's telling Sumantra here, you tell a lie, that I didn't hear you. So the particular translation of that verse is, even if you are reproached, you should tell the king, I didn't hear you. And then Ramachandra gives the reason. Delaying someone's distress is very sinful. Okay. This delaying the distress means when Dasarath Maharaj and Kausalya and all the queens and the residents of Ayodhya, their heart is in severe distress, slowing it down would be sinful. So when someone is leaving like this, then it is said that the leaving must be swift. One other reason where Narad Muni tells Mrigari, don't half kill those animals because you're delaying their distress. It's elongated. They're suffering from pain for a longer period. Just make a swift kill. Just make it swift. Okay. So one may ask, why should Sumantra speak these words that are not true, that I didn't hear you? Ramachandra is clearly telling him, don't listen to Dasarath Maharaj, keep going. So there are two references. If someone ever asks you, there are two references. One is from Mahabharata, where in Mahabharata, Sharmishta is the daughter of Shukracharya. And Sarmishta and her friend, I'm not getting into the Mahabharata story, but Sarmishta says, it says, Sarmishto vacha, na narma yuktam vachanam hinnasti, na strishu rajan na vivaha kale, pranatyaye sarva dhanapahare, panchartani ahur apatakani. There are 5 occasions when certain words that are spoken that are untrue actually are not considered a sin. So first he says, joking words that do not break a promise. So between friends, between husband and wife, sometimes there are joking words that cannot be, that don't seem truthful. There are many jokes between husband and wife like that. If I get into it, I'll only be telling you jokes. For example, if a wife asks, do I look good today? Then the husband should not answer that question. Because either this way or that way, that's a trick question. If you say yes, that means you were not looking good on other days. If you say no, you're already in trouble. So be careful. So those are some of the questions one should be careful. And in those circumstances, it says lying is not sinful. Okay, then it says, or words spoken to a woman. So many times in romantic situations, certain words are spoken to enhance the romance and they can be untruthful and it is not a sin. It says, or at the time of a wedding, they say that some or the other you get a wedding done. So sometimes certain words, truths are exaggerated. Uh, don't ask me to explain, but this is from Mahabharata. So write a letter to Vyasadeva. If he responds, great. During a wedding, you can exaggerate the truth. Or in a life-threatening situation, or when one is about to lose all of his wealth. So she says, Sarmishta says that authorities say that these five types of falsities are not degrading, apatakani. Now, there is a similar verse. So if you don't like Sarmishta, one may ask, Sarmishta, is she an authority? She's Shukracharya's daughter. So definitely she's an authority. Someone may say, yeah, but Shukracharya was the guru for the demons, the Daityas, Asuras actually. So we don't like this verse. So what if it's in the Mahabharata? So then we go to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 19, verse number 43. This is Bhishma Deva speaking. I'm sorry, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhishma Deva also says something similar in Mahabharata. So that's the second reference. And the third is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 8:19:43. It says, Strishu narma vivahecha vritti arthe prana sankate go brahmanartha himsayam nanrutam sya jugupsitam. Anrutam means falsity. So nanrutam means these falsities do not, jugupsitam, they are not condemned. So what are the five again? Similar. So it says Trishu. So in flattering a woman, or flattering one's partner, in joking, vivahecha, during a marriage ceremony, vritti arthe, in the course of earning one's livelihood, when one's life, prana sankate, when one's life is in danger, and go brahmana himsayam, in protecting cows and brahmanical culture or brahmanas. So, or in protecting himsayam, when protecting a person from an enemy's hand. So it says these five are considered okay. So Ramachandra, who always follows dharma, took that little window of concessions to say that this is going to put Dasarath Maharaj's life in danger if you slow things down. So it's okay to tell him you never heard it. All right, I'm going to pause because I'm seeing people texting some password is not working. So Yamuna Jeevna on the WhatsApp group, perhaps they're looking for the password and they're using some older password or something. If you could kindly inform them. All right, so that ends chapter 40. Then in chapter 41, the departure from Ayodhya is continuing. So all the queens, this chapter deals with how Ayodhya is dealing with the departure of the three, Sri Ramachandra, Sita Devi and Lakshmana. So all the queens of Dasarath Maharaj, they started crying and wailing loudly. And they were saying that Ramachandra is the most well-behaved. And he treated us with the same regard and respect that he would offer Kausalya Devi. Where has he gone? Like when we sing the song, Kaha Mora Swarup Rupa, Kaha Sanatan. Where has he gone? Where have these great personalities gone? Because they have departed. They have departed our vision. So they're singing that song of lamentation. So where have they gone? Then they all turned towards Kaikeyi and they chastised Kaikeyi. It's all because of you, your manipulative machinations. It's all because of your selfishness that today all of us and the entire Ayodhya has been put into distress. And the verse says that they cried like how cows would cry for their calves. whenever someone pulls away the calf from the cow, apparently the cow cries very, very piteously. So now Dasharath Maharaj was already severely distressed, and hearing all these queens also crying and hearing the queen's distress, he became completely depressed. And he just lost it. And this is what happens to Ayodhya now that Ramachandra has left. Every household or a city is considered thriving with life when every day there are religious ceremonies happening in the home. For example, for us, there is the worship of the deity, there is chanting of the holy name, all of these things. In Treta Yuga, every household must be performing Agnihotra. Every householder, husband and wife, perform fire yagyas. In fact, as soon as they get up, the wife helps in the preparation of the Agnihotra, and the husband does all the or offers all the oblations into the fire. In Ayodhya, everybody stopped. There were no more fire yagyas in any household. No fires were lit. The residents did not prepare any food. Now, one may say, well, what's so great? Food was prepared as part of charity to give animals, beggars, Brahmins, everyone else. Nobody cooked to eat for themselves or to give out in charity. So all goodness activities had stopped. People did not go to work. They just were not inspired to get up and perform their occupational duties. And the sun seemed to have been eclipsed. There was no tejas, there was no fire in the sun. Now another explanation is the Lord Ramachandra, who appeared in the solar dynasty, because he left, that entire dynasty was eclipsed in its glory. Then elephants, this is how the animals behaved. Elephants, who were always chewing grass and sugarcane, just became so stunned by Ramachandra's leaving that food just dropped out of their mouth. Cows did not allow their calves to suckle on them. In fact, it's the reason the calf is called Vatsa is because by looking at the calf, the mother cow has this whole transformation in her body that her milk just starts to flow. So the cows did not allow any of the calves to come close to them. And in those houses where the firstborn child was born, or the first child was born, the mothers were not happy. Their attention was just not onto their firstborn. They were all in this melancholy, broken-hearted mode that Ramachandra has left Ayodhya. Not only the animals and the residents, but in the firmament, in the sky, all the planets also went out of orbit. Somehow it happened that it says that Trishanku, Mars, Jupiter, and Mercury apparently all hovered or aspected around the moon. This is not a, I don't know astrology, but it said that that is not a good combination. Stars were not twinkling anymore. Planets that otherwise were bright became very dull. And Vishakha Nakshatra appeared in the sky. So that's the appearance is an indicator of melancholy or karuna rasa, this sadness or sorrow. I call it pathos. Entire city of Ayodhya was covered with black clouds, and the city seemed to be shaking, just like an ocean does in heavy wind. You see large waves come and splash against the shore, and it seems that everything is just reverberating, shaking. Everybody became very morose. Nobody wanted to eat. Nobody wanted to sleep. They didn't want to do anything. They were not talking to each other. There was no conversations. And everyone was just crying with huge sighs. And they were all staring at Dasharatha with blank eyes, because it almost is that life had left their bodies. Mothers did not think of their sons. Husbands did not think of their wives. Wives did not think of their husbands. Brothers did not think of their other siblings. And everyone was exclusively remembering Lord Ramachandra. Friends forgot their friendship. In fact, many people did not even get out of bed. They were just not motivated to doing anything. They were just lying in bed, completely shattered. So one of the acharyas gives a commentary. His name is Kataka. He gives a commentary that what does it mean that mothers did not think of their sons? So many mothers looked at Kaikeyi and said, "Chi, chi, look at Kaikeyi. She did all of this for her son Bharata. If that is how motherhood is, then we are not interested in being mothers." That's what it means. Then husbands did not think of their wives, is they all looked at Dasharatha and said, "Oh, if a husband becomes so powerless, or he becomes so emaciated by the words of his wife, we don't want to be such husbands. We don't want to be husbands anymore." Brothers did not consider or care for their brothers. Many of them said, "What kind of a brother Bharata is?" Of course, we're going to treat this topic of Bharata later, so hold on to your questions about Bharata. So what kind of brothers are these? They were supposed to give life to each other, and he's going to become the king by allowing his brother to be banished to the forest. And friends forgot their friendships. This is not how we should. Friend means called mitra or a bandhu or suhrad. We are supposed to have each other's best welfare in our hearts. This is not good. So bereft of the great Ramachandra, Ayodhya then became tormented with fear and lamentation. The word as Ayodhya means that is formidable, that cannot be defeated. Another word in Vaikuntha, or in the spiritual world, another name for Ayodhya is Aparajita, that it cannot be overcome or cannot be subdued or defeated. So the whole city or the kingdom of Ayodhya became tormented with fear, lamentation, and all living entities were crying. Elephants, foot soldiers, horses, they were all crying, and they were all disturbed. And the analogy is, just as Mother Earth was very disturbed when Indra was slashing the wings of the mountains, throwing his thunderbolt. The whole place was like being trashed by lightning. That whole place, Ayodhya, was in severe distress. So that's how chapter 41 ends. Then in chapter 42, when Dasharatha, who's following Ramachandra's chariot, and as the chariot goes away from his vision, and all he can see is a little cloud of dust, and slowly that dust cloud also disappears, Dasharatha swoons and falls onto the ground unconscious. So quickly Kaikeyi and Kausalya run to pick him up. Kausalya is on Dasharatha Maharaj's right side, Kaikeyi is on Dasharatha Maharaj's left side, and slowly they raise the king from the ground. And Dasharatha Maharaj's whole body is covered in dust. His eyes and face are wet with tears. and his face looks completely ashen, lifeless. And when they carry him and sit him down, Dasarath Maharaj shirks Kaikeyi away, and he completely rejects her from his life. He annuls his marriage with her. He says, "You're such a woman that I cannot consider being married to you. So from this moment on, you're not my wife anymore. And I reject you. And when I die, which I am going to surely die because Ramachandra has gone away from my vision. And when I die, if your son Bharata offers me pinda, oblations, they will not come to me. So I will not be relieved from this hellish condition, even if Bharata tries anything." Then he turns to his attendants and tells them, "Take me to Kausalya's home. I want to be there in her company." So they carry him and lay him on Kausalya's bed, and Kausalya is sitting right next to him. And at that time, he extends his hand to Kausalya and he says, "Kausalya, I cannot see you." And he says, "My eyes have not returned. So can you touch me so I know that you are here?" So the explanation of "my eyes haven't returned" is my eyes have been fixed on Ramachandra. And since he has not returned, my eyes also have not returned. I'm not able to see you. Another meaning is that my eyes are so filled with sadness and tears that I'm not aware, I cannot see anything around me. And now he's concerned whether all of his senses have left him. So the sense of vision has gone away. So he wants to at least make sure that his sense of touch is still alive. So he asks Kausalya, "Can you touch me?" And his idea is that he cannot see Ramachandra, but because he is in Kausalya's room, that is as if Ramachandra is there, because he is Kausalya's son, Kausalya Supraja. And her touch reminds him of Ramachandra's touch, not in a conjugal way, but that he is her son. So if she is there, very strongly he is reminded of her. So that is how chapter 42 ends. So today I'm going to keep it short and pause here and see if you have any questions or comments, either from this discussion of these 3 chapters or anything else. I've kept it short because somehow I have a sense that these verses from Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam may bring some questions. So I'm ready.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Atulya Devdasi.
Hare Krishna.
So Prabhu, regarding falsity and the 5 conditions that you mentioned, this reminded me of Shukracharya himself when he was talking to Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj was losing his entire wealth and maybe his life when he promised Vamana Dev. So I want to understand, like, basically whatever Shukracharya was saying was then correct in one way if the falsity is allowed. So
yeah.
But then later Shukracharya himself felt repentant of what he did and said.
Correct. Now, in this case, in Shukracharya's case, he used a valid argument to be higher than another argument which is more powerful. That is, one should offer everything to Vishnu. So he used the right verse in a very tricky application. So now let's generalize it. Many of us, as practicing devotees, we select shlokas according to how we are thinking. So we have a certain viewpoint and we search for shlokas from scripture to strengthen our viewpoint. And we say, I referred to scripture. Actually, the reference to scripture is completely opposite. I refer to scripture and I accept that viewpoint. Not that I strengthen my viewpoint by looking for references in scripture necessarily, especially when my viewpoint is being challenged in reference to higher principles. Here is Bali Maharaj offering everything, ready to offer everything to Vishnu. And he's telling him, don't offer. And in this case, you can use falsity. It's not wrong. That is where his lamentation is. But if it were to save a life, sure. Now, Shukracharya was telling Bali Maharaj and a certain set of audience that if you give away your wealth to Vishnu, what will you have? Which is wrong. Who am I to say wrong? I don't have 1 gazillionth wisdom of Shukracharya. But from the perspective of Bhagavatam, one may consider that giving to Vishnu means I may lose, when actually it's quite the opposite. By giving to Vishnu, one gets everything, even more. What did Bali Maharaj get? A long life in Sutala, which is greater in Sutala, which is greater in abundance and richness than Indra's planet, and he will be the next Indra. So one actually gets a lot more by offering to Vishnu than thinking that I will have less. So Shukracharya was giving him a very mundane reference point. But because Shukracharya used it in one way, does not nullify the principle here.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Another way is Ramachandra cannot bear to see Dasharatha's heart being shattered in a slow, very, very painful way. So he told Sumantra, just tell him I didn't hear you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. That's it? No other questions? Great.
Shamkundas here. Prabhu, in the past 1 week, I've had 2 of people whom I know closely and quite well. They passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
One was my friend's mother. Basically, the circumstances surrounding their death was tragic in their own lives as such. Very similar to what we are hearing now here. One was my friend's mother. Her daughter had a case of depression and she left home and then she passed away a few days later. That's it.
Oh, no.
Because of this being the Corona time, they didn't even get admission into a hospital. She didn't get an admission into a hospital. That delayed some things. And of course, she passed away and we can't attribute it exactly to these reasons. But in this case, this is one case, and there's another case of the headmistress or the principal of my school. She too passed away today, just like a couple of days after her brother passed away. In all of this, and in many other cases that I'm seeing, when somebody near passes away or they have are in a grievous situation, then people end up dying in one sense. We can possibly say that they have lost their will to live or something like that. Not just in case of these 2 people whom I know, they're religious, but not the Krishna conscious kind of persons. Even within our own Sampradaya, after the departure of Mahaprabhu, we had other devotees who were swooning and crying, and gradually they lost their lives, and some continue to stay. In our own lives, as we hear these exchanges between Dashratha and Kaushalya and others, in one way, we can say that, yes, I have a life mission and I want to live as long as my life mission is complete. And we all have a life mission, ultimate life mission, which is to get purified in the chanting of the holy name and to uh, complete the tasks given to us by our spiritual master or other devotees. But where do we draw a line to persist? Here we see that Kahamora Raghunath, like how we hear that song, that where is this particular devotee? In that itself, the devotee melts and finally leaves his body. That is one end here. And the other is, I have some service to do. On one hand, on one side is the feelings of loss. And on the other side is a service that I need to complete. How long can, and services by nature can never be completed. It's infinite. There is never a perfection in any of the services as such. In our own lives, how do we taking this forward? I'm especially seeing a lot of elderly people losing the will to live after some time. So what keeps a person motivated? Until when can we have an objective and move on? And when do we say that we gracefully move out? And in our own lives, how do we process that? Like say, at some point in time, we may die today, we may die when we're old. I'm just taking the example. If we are ever going to die when we become old, when do we say, I'm done with it. Now let me prepare for leaving this body. I may be half done in my objectives. I may be 3/4 done. How do I start processing it? I'd like to know your thoughts and your advice.
So in your question, Shamkund, you mixed the mundane with very transcendental. So let's separate things first and look at. So let's start with the very transcendental, because we can only speak. I can only speak very short about it. I don't know much. The mundane stuff I can speak a lot longer because I'm right there. The transcendental, where Narottam Das Thakur is saying that all these acharyas have left Pashane Kutibo Matha. I feel like banging my head to a rock. Anale Pashiba, and I want to jump into fire and give up my life. The interesting thing is he did neither. So is he speaking false words? It is a glorification of the Vaishnavas and the glorification of the impact they've had on him and his heart. They're not too different. The impact on his heart. That they are such important persons in his life that now that they have gone away, he's not sure whether there is enough for him to hold on and live. So it's a very deep emotion that he's expressing. Kaha Mura Swarup Rupa, Kaha Sanatan. How can I survive without being able to access their presence? Of course, by the time Narottam Das Thakur was born, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already left. But it is the other devotees in whose presence Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence was very palpable for him. So another way is that these are my lifelines. These great devotees in my life are my lifelines. Without them, I don't have a ground to stand on. I don't have a wall to lean on. I don't have anything to continue my life with. There is no inspiration. There is nothing that motivates me. It's a deep yearning and crying of the heart. Now, in one sense, similar but perverted in the sense that it is my child or my family. It has a very strong mamakara attached to it. That someone in my family, my child, my relative, someone has departed or left home, and they left home because there was perhaps some argument or disagreement or a fight. It just happened that they left and they died, and I don't have a chance to repair it. So as persons age, the zest in their heart to otherwise face a challenge, and all of that becomes reduced because the senses have become weaker. So uh, uh, their motivation or inspiration to continue living is weak, because then now they're thinking, then what else is life meant for anyway? I'm old, and without my family, without my child, what is the point? They look similar, but they're, as we know, quite different. Now, as a practicing devotee, we fit somewhere in between these two. Uh, uh, and if we have, like Narottam Das Thakur, we have those emotions, amazing. All glory to such a person. Somewhere in between, where there is some elements of transcendental attraction to the devotee, attachment to the devotee, and material attachment. So how to know the difference? Material attachment talks about my pain, my issue, my thing, and transcendental talks about their glory, their presence, their contribution. So, and it gets quite mixed. Now, when someone's lifeline leaves, it is very difficult to be motivated to why I should be continuing what I'm doing. I don't find a purpose, I don't find a reason. But in most cases, with some passage of time, they transition from Vapu to Vani. And in Vani, they find strength, inspiration, solace, everything. But losing the Vapu, or the physical presence, is devastating. It's not easy. And so everyone will go through that phase of feeling demotivated, or feeling discouraged, or there's really nothing for me, etc., etc. Someone, especially with the passing of spiritual master, someone such person passes away, then all the wonderful opportunities in which there was this physical exchanges go away. So you can never write an email and get one response back. You never get darshan. You'll never get to carry their bag, or drive them, or do the. I mean, all of that goes away. Completely goes away. All we have is to hold on to the words, and maybe videos or something, and that's just images moving on a screen. So depending upon where the person is in terms of their own development of Krishna consciousness, they will transition from Vapu to Vani in a particular way. So therefore, from the beginning, while one is attached to the gurus or a person, let's talk about the spiritual master, because that's the reference you made. It's important to not only thrive in the physical presence while the guru is there, but also actually become very strongly attached to the Vani, so that the transition is easier. Not easy, but easier. So what is the motivation to finish my service and all that? It depends. Each person has their what they carry on their head. So Srila Prabhupada, although aged severely, even with heart attacks, went ahead because he felt that that is what is my calling, and I feel strongly connected with my spiritual master in carrying that out, carrying that order out. Lokanath, not Lokanath, Narottam Das Thakur continued. In the absence of all these great acharyas, he continued. His own friend and disciple, in one sense, is Srinivas Acharya, who every time he wanted to meet someone, as he was traveling to meet them, they passed away. And not one or two, a whole long list. He was, in his dream, he was told, go meet that person. He's getting forward to go there, that person passes away. Then he gets a dream, go meet someone else. And in this way, he never met any of these great persons. But Srinivas Acharya continued to parallelly manage his emotions, that oh my gosh, it is very difficult to continue without their presence. Simultaneously, let me feel stronger connection with these persons. Both are there in the heart, because we cannot just give up life. We may give up the zest for it, we may give up the desire to continue on, but life's not just going to go away so easily. The residents of Brindavan, they're all fallen on the ground on the banks of the Yamuna. They're not eating, they're not sleeping, they don't care, their hairs are disheveled, the clothes are all this way, that way. They're just standing there like lifeless dolls, hoping, waiting that Krishna will return. So it's difficult to exactly say, oh, I'm going to transition from this to that. It's difficult, and it's very individualistic how each person is inspired to continue or not continue. And this is not one is right and the other is wrong. Both have their places, or either has its place.
Just a follow-up question for your reply, Prabhu. You just mentioned it's not like this is right or that is right, but the choice that somebody makes on how they want to live the rest of their life, like I'm coming still to the mundane level. I mean, not a pure devotee as yet, but an aspiring devotee as such. The choice that they make, would it not impact their consciousness in their next situation in life, which is
Sure. Sure.
so. I mean, so basically, it means there is no rest until the Supreme Lord wishes us to move us to another situation. I
Well,
mean,
it's not his wish per se. Otherwise, someone will say, "Oh well, in my case, he didn't wish." So I used to have one old person in the temple. Many of us know him, Kapoor uncle, and I would ask him, "Why are you not coming to the temple?" He said, "Bhagwan ki ichha hogi to aa jayenge. If the Lord wishes, I'll come." I said, "The Lord already wished. It's just aapki deri hai. You need to do it. He already wishes that you should come to the temple and take his darshan. What are you waiting for?" Um, so does it take, obviously, everything that we desire and the choices that we make modifies the next form that we will have. It sort of adds to the fulfillment of that picture. The next bag or luggage or suitcase with our karmic clothing is being, and I'm using the word clothing because Krishna uses the word. Our karmic clothing is being prepared. It's being packed for us.
yeah.
So one who doesn't know that somehow thinks that when this is done, oh, but then it continues in a different feature and form. The same anxiety, the same melancholy, pathos will continue in the next one too, in a different way.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, actually, when you said, then Dashratha said, after I leave body, even if Bharata keeps pindas, it will not reach me. But my question is, Bharata by nature, he is very devoted to Lord Rama, right? So how we can understand here?
So I'll give you the headline, and then when we discuss Bharata, who's coming up soon, we'll talk more. Bharata is guilty by association. But Bharata is not even there in the at the scene when all this is going on. He's in his grandfather's house. But one of the aspects of blind love, if you will, and that's what is being brought out in the Ramayana, that when I blindly love one person, that blindness does not allow me to see someone else's innocence. I'll blame them also. So they are all assuming that Bharata is somehow agreeable to being the king. He's okay for all of this to happen. No one asked Bharata. And you'll notice as we discussed that Bharata was doubted by everybody. He's doubted by Lakshmana previously. Then when he comes back, everyone is worried. Is Bharata going to be the king? Vasishtha wants to know. Then when he goes after Lord Ramachandra, Guha is waiting to check out if Bharata has anything against Ramachandra, just by the fact that he became the king and Ramachandra did not be. Bharadwaja Muni asks him, are you here to invite Ramachandra back, or are you coming with some military desires? Do you want to fight and kill Ramachandra? That's what he asked. So everyone doubts Bharata, and Bharata has to answer and convince all the list of people. So this is one of the issues of such affection towards one, that we cannot accommodate the other person. One should be careful about these things. So here Dasharatha is speaking from the point of view of Kaikeyi, you and your son, that like that, not Bharata individually himself.
Okay.
And the doubt is Bharata loving to Ramachandra? Sure, but Kaikeyi was also very loving. In fact, Kaikeyi was so much more loving than Kaushalya expressed it. And Ramachandra treated Kaikeyi as much or more than Kaushalya. But today, see what has happened. So in that spirit, he is saying Bharata also.
Yes. One just small question, Prabhu. When parents do mistakes, is it will pass to children also?
What mistake? You mean sin?
Yes, Prabhu. Like generally.
I am not an expert in Manu Samhita, but there is some that passes from the father to the children, very small amount. So mother, I'm not sure, but in general, from a karmic perspective, the activities of the superiors, both good and bad, impact their followers. I don't know the percentage, I don't know how much, but karmically, yes. When a father or mother or a king or a leader misbehaves or does something sinful, then everyone below also gets affected.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my obeisances.
Hare
Yamuna
Krishna.
Jivanda.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment, and perhaps you covered this in a previous class, but the fact that Ayodhya is an formidable, unconquerable place, yet the entire city has been dismantled, you could say, by just the internal activities of one lady.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how strong an organization or a group of persons may be, if there is infighting, then it can destroy the whole thing. Like Prabhupada said about ISKCON is that no one can stop this movement except from fighting within us or inside of us.
Yeah, I did not cover or comment on it. It's a good point. Generally, the reason Ayodhya is in the context of this is the way it has become lifeless is because the soul of Ayodhya left Ayodhya. So just like a body becomes lifeless with the departure of the soul, similarly, the soul being Ramachandra, particularly Sita Devi and Ramachandra, when they left, the entire city became lifeless. Of course, the medium of how it happened was Kaikeyi's Machiavellian or machinations. But the outcome is, the cause for it is Ramachandra's departure, particularly. But the point is valid from a social point of view, very valid, that infighting can change Ayodhya to Yodhya. Anything else?
Prabhu, I have another question, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
So, I don't know, earlier we were talking about this Shukracharya and Bali Maharaj. So I was thinking, I was reflecting on it. I was thinking that those kind of conversations happen within one's own heart. There is that materialistic side that say, okay, don't give this to Vishnu. And then there's the other side who says, well, yes, worship of Krishna is the utmost thing. So what is that giving up? Like, you know, Bali Maharaj is ready to give up life, wealth, everything to satisfy his promise. So what is that giving up on our, in my life or in our daily life that I'm holding back from a full surrender?
Each person has their own very specialized, individualized, customized hooks or pegs that keeps them in the material world. There's not one thing. For each person, it's a different hook. In a general category, they all belong to what is called attachment or proprietorship. For Bali Maharaj, his biggest issue was that he had usurped Indra's kingdom and felt that he had become the master of the universe. So because he felt he was the master of the universe, the master of creation had to come to show him that actually he is very small in comparison to the Lord. And that smallness is not only in his glory, but also in size. When Vamana became so big, is to show Bali how small he was. That's another reason why Vamana became such a. But how did Vamana appear to him? Smaller than him, short, like a dwarf. So the Lord appeared. That is why Jayadev Goswami says, Chalayati Vikramane Balim Adbhuta Vamana. Chalayasi. He came as someone smaller and having less than him. So Bali asked, and it said that there was this tinge of pride. Whatever do you want, you ask, and I will give you charity in such a way that you will never have to go and beg anywhere else for the rest of your life or any of your descendants' lives. So Vamana, to break that, said to him, oh, I only need 3 paces of land, and a Brahmana should be not greedy, because a greedy person will not be satisfied even if they get an entire planet to themselves. So Bali laughed and he said, you're not very intelligent in the way you're asking alms. But that's okay. You want 3 paces of land, that's what you would get. And the next thing he knows is Vamana grows so big and takes away everything. So every person has a little peg, that hook or peg that keeps us in the material world. If you want a general category, according to Rishabdev, aham mama iti. These two is the root cause of all ignorance and problems. Pumsastriyamaituni bhavam eta tayor hridaya granthi mahu. Aho graha kshetra sutapta vitter janasya mohoyam aham mama iti. Janasya moha, the entire living beings in the entire creation are bewildered by aham and mama, these two. So that's the general answer. For each one, it's a variation or a specific of that aham and mama. Does that answer your question, Atulya?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. I think it's a self-exploration to figure out what that.
Yeah. And not only self-exploration, Krishna is helping, he's throwing light, he's putting floodlights, very sharp lights. And sometimes we may ask, what is it that I am attached to, Krishna? And he says, look at that one. So, well, I can't look. Can you tell me? He doesn't tell. Then we go through agony. But it is the Aham Mama principle primarily. So Bali Maharaj of Atma Nivedana, that is why that pastime is very important, because in Atma Nivedana, he gives up his Aham and Mama per se. He gives himself and everything that he has to the Lord. I'm surrendering my Aham and Mama to you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Actually, when you were saying about Rama leaving Ayodhya, I was remembering Krishna leaving Vrindavan. So there, Krishna promises that he'll come back. And also here, Ayodhya Vasis know that Rama is going to come back after 14 years. So two questions were coming in my mind. One is that they were more sad that Rama had to live in forest without any facilities, and was that adding more pain to them? And the second question is this intensified gopis' love towards Krishna. They said it is Leela Smarna, that they were thinking Krishna 24 hours. So similarly, was it also same thing in Ayodhya? Their love intensified.
Why not? That is the reason for separation. There's the saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And when the Vapu, the person himself, is not there, then the constant remembrance of him, his activities, his little gestures, those are what they were holding on to very tightly.
Yeah. And Arjuna also, when he came to know that, when he know that Krishna disappeared from this planet, he was also very sad like this, right, Prabhuji? So, but he remembered Bhagavad Gita instructions by Krishna. So, but here they did not have any instructions, but all that they had is the loving relationship. So they were just remembering that Leela pastimes.
Is that a yes or no question you're asking me?
So my question is that Arjuna remembered Bhagavad Gita instructions, and
No, Arjuna, no, not exclusively only Bhagavad Gita instructions.
but the
Arjuna
past,
has a lot more memories of putting his arm around Krishna and all the fun times they had together since their childhood.
okay, so all of them remembered the pastimes, the Leelas that they did.
Yeah, why not? Separation, Vipralambha, is experienced in all the rasas, not just one. Here, all the residents are experiencing separation from Ramachandra depending on their relationship with him. Most likely Shanta, because they don't have like a private individual relationship, but let's say Shanta. The mothers, all of them are at the Vatsalya Rasa. Dashrath Maharaj is going to almost die, and he's going to die out of the separation in Vatsalya Rasa. And later, the separation in Sringara and Sakhya Rasa is also coming. Now, Bharat Maharaj is going to feel separation from Ramachandra in Sakhya Rasa. Sakhya and Dasya mix. Okay, let's not get into analyzing rasas. So go ahead, ask your question.
So when I was thinking about myself, should I be taking shelter of more of the instructions of Krishna, or more into the pastimes of Krishna to feel the presence of him, or which would we be more?
Whatever gives you life.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
There are instructions in pastimes.
Yeah.
So whatever gives life. Why this or that? Why not both? Why not everything?
Yeah.
There's a pastime of Srila Prabhupada. once in Mumbai, Brahmananda, at that time he was Maharaj, Brahmananda Maharaj, they were serving prasadam to him, and the devotees brought two cakes. I think one was, I forget the exact one. One was a strawberry cake. The other was some other pineapple cake, let's say, for example. I don't know the specifics. And he was asked, which one do you want, strawberry or pineapple? And he said, both. And he said, Prabhupada taught us that when such things are there, no need to make choices. Take both. So, no, why choose this or that? Take both.
Thank you for the example. Hare Krishna.
Okay, anything else? Last?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I had a question on the topic of what feels right is not always the right thing to do, or may not be the right thing to do. So I was thinking about situations where, say, like I see some of my friends in the need of help, and then I feel like jumping in and helping, but then the situation may be created by Krishna for that person to grow, and then sometimes it's better to just not jump in, but then pray for them so Krishna can help, and they develop their own relationship with Krishna stronger. So my question is, like, when my super soul connection is not so strong that I can't figure out, then how is a person to determine what's the best thing to do, which like helps the other person and not like maybe is not taking them away from Krishna, but then it's helping them to move towards Krishna?
If the core of the problem is, as you said, the super soul connection is not strong, then the first thing to do is to make that connection. And somehow we may have this picture that connection takes a long time. No. All we have to do is to plug the device into the socket. The electricity is readily available, right? So connection is something. So if that's the issue, that I'm feeling unconnected or disconnected or not so connected, strengthen the connection. So that's one. Second, the premise that Krishna may have arranged some situation for them to learn and grow, but Krishna could have also arranged the same situation while for them to learn and grow, for someone close to them to also step in and help them. Possibly. Krishna can do multiple things in one activity. And how to help them, maybe that is not clear or not clearer. So we try to understand from them as to what is the best way in which I can help. Sometimes helping with a prayer from afar, sometimes just saying a word of support, sometimes actually doing something, and sometimes shaking them up. It all depends. It all depends on that situation, that person, you or me or anyone, and understanding what is needed best at that time. For Vyasadeva, Narad Muni had to just tell him a few things, that everything is great except your lens needs to turn a little bit for full focus. Krishna is in the picture, just not focused. So make that sharp for him. He went to someone else and just gave them straight up philosophy, leave home. To the Prachetas, he told them, leave home. To King Prachina Barhi, he went and told him a whole allegorical story for 5 chapters or something. For Mrigari, he said, kill immediately, don't leave them half dead. For Valmiki, he gave the Ramayana in summary. For Dhruva, he told him, this is not for you. Generally, something. He gave him some other instruction. So it all depends. Is knowing So making that connection first is important. My dear Krishna, how best would you like me to be of assistance here? Please guide me.
Thank you.
All right, let's end. Thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend and week, meditating on what kind of love the residents of Ayodhya have for Sri Ramachandra, and how for the next 14 years their eyes are only going to look in the direction of Chitrakoot, from where he has to return and put back life in their lifeless bodies. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.